Okay, so now to start our composition. So you can use a ruler for this or you can cite it, but to start with, we want to organize our shapes on the paper. So we can do this a number of ways. I'm going to divide my paper into 4 so that I roughly know where the upper and lower areas are. And I'm going to do a diagonal here. Actually, I'll do a diagonal here just as like a center point. And then I'm going to make some lines here because I need to have room for the title. And then I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my main image. So a variety of sizes can be an effective tool. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put my main image here. I'm going to do a pear. Start with simple shapes. I'm starting with a circle, and I'm going to do a line up through the middle, which is going to show me where the center is. And then I want to think about how am I going to place other features here. So I've got some flowers, and we'll have to look these up in class, that I can put in a pattern kind of coming through the middle. So I'm not even going to put the flowers in, I'm just going to make a mark. Some ovals where those are going to be. And then I want something over here, so I'll do a cross section of a pear. And so I'll start with the center line, seeing the angle. Careful not to move too close to the edge because we want that space. This oval is going to be a little bit more narrow because we're looking at the inside of the pear, so I'm starting with this oval here. And then I'm going to move up around the top of the pear and then get the side view of the pear. And I'll also decide where I'm going to put my text. So I'll put text here, some here, and some here. And now I can move in with a more detailed sketch. So once I'm happy with my composition, I'm going to make more of a detailed sketch. And I'm going to mark out where my highlights are. I'm going to be giving you guys a high H pencil. I'm using a HB pencil so that my marks show up on the screen. But the goal of these marks is to be as light as possible. Now I can start the painting process. So I'm going to begin by wetting down the area I'm going to paint. It's up to you which techniques you use. So I'm going to just mix together a couple of different techniques from today for the pear. So wetting down the paper first. And once I do this, I'm going to use a variegated wash with 4 colors that I'll sort of pre-mix to get some depth and variation in the pear. Coming in with the lightest colors first with a graduated wash. For the leaves, I'm going to think about what's above and what's below and make a couple of different greens for this. So I'll make one which is more blue. I'll add a little bit of burnt sienna to it. And then one which is a little bit more pure, which is just the green the sap green with a little bit of yellow added to it, and a mid green, which uses the yellow ochre. I'm going to start with the lightest colors first. Now that the paint's settled a bit, I can come in with some stronger values. I'm going to come in with a deeper muddy green for the base of the pear. And I'm going to variegate that with the purer sap green. As I move towards the top, I'm going to drop in a little bit of burnt sienna. And add a little bit of water to the edge to make sure that it blends. As I move towards the outer edges, I'm going to use a little bit more yellow. going to variegate the leaves first with the darker color, and I'm going to leave the negative space as the veins of the leaves. So I'm just going to leave little veins in the negative space. And watch out for shadows. So the leaves are going to cast a little shadow over one another. And I'll mix a little bit of burnt sienna and blue together to make a very dark brown for the stem. The top of the stem is going to be just a little bit lighter, and there's going to be a little bit of light just coming from the side, so I'm not going to cover all of this yellow here. Now I'm going to leave that to dry, and as I do, I'm going to move on to the pear down here. And this I'm just going to do a little bit more simply. So I'm going to use a light yellow ochre for the inside of the pear. And let's just get that in. So I'm just going to kind of wet down, whoops, it's too heavy. Wet down the inside of the pear, and then yellow ochre, and I might add a little bit of blue to it just to tone it down. So I'm just wetting down the area that I'm going to paint in first. And now I'm going to use a very pale yellow ochre, tiny bit of blue mix, with a lot of water added to it for the inside of the pear. And I'm just going to drop that in around the base, around the center, and a little bit on the edges. And I'm just going to let that kind of flow. And then I'm going to use my brush to lift out 2 spots on either side of the center of the pear. And now I need to wait for this to dry, so I'm going to start to move in with the flowers. I like the look of illustration combined with the watercolor, so I'm going to be doing the flowers in a black pen. And this just sort of, it goes along with the ethos of botanical illustration, which is very detailed. You're explaining to the viewer what the object you're looking at is. pear is dry enough, I can come in and put in the details of the outside of the pear. Now I hardly ever use white watercolor, but one thing it can do is if you have a little bit of reflected light where it's cooler, so you're on the shaded side, but you've got a little bit of light bouncing back. Sometimes a little bit of white watercolor can be useful for the reflected light. So I'm just going to do a little bit of light coming across this side, and it's opaque enough that, it's transparent enough that it's just going to pick up whatever color is directly underneath it. And I'm just going to do a little study of the pips over here because I feel like I need something. So I'll start just making sure I know what space these are going to occupy. Okay, so last but not least, we will get to the writing. So you can do this freehand, or if you want to be a little bit more precise, using a ruler. Let me just bring the exposure down so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll give a couple of different fonts to work with today, but I'm going to start by just making a line for the top and the bottom of the letters. I'm going to figure out where the divide is, so I'm going to write Bartlett pear. And you can map out the letters by kind of using straight lines just to see Bartlett, where they're going to be. I'm going to work from the inside out. So let me just get my reference up. I've got 2 T's here. An E. You can even put another line straight through the middle that can organize things like the cross of the A or the cross of the R so that those are all in line. So I've got my T's, E. Got another T. I'm going to do this in a copper plate type script. And now I can come in, so if you want you can do this in pencil or you can move straight to pen. Now I can erase all those dotted lines. And then you can do a bit of research about your fruit, or if you just want to make it decorative, some ideas are thinking of your fruit as a map, so charting out like east and west. You can also, if you're learning a new language, practice your language skills here, or simply describe what you've painted. So I'm just going to do this here. All right, well, I don't love how the copper plate has come out, so next time I'll probably just use cursive. But all that's left now is to erase all the drafting marks, and your botanical illustration is complete. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in class. The next class we'll run will be illustration. So if you struggled with the drawing element of today, I'd really recommend checking that class out. So all the details are on soholifedrawing.com, also our Eventbrite page. If you liked today's class, if you could also leave us a good review, that would be amazing. Thank you. And thanks for watching.